Glad y'all could race on over, Tenno. Welcome to Warframe Explored, Warframe Edition. Here I'll talk about the different playable Warframes and how they work, give a bit of an in-depth explanation about them, as well as some build options. Keep that in mind that all Warframes can be built however you want. These will just be the ones that I've enjoyed and I think work well with their respective kits. So with that, ready, set, go! See what I did there? Yeah, that'll happen a lot. Today we're going to start with Gauss. And yes, it's Gauss, not Gauss. I will fight you, since he's my main and was the main reason I even started playing Warframe to begin with. The speediest runner, I chose my words very carefully there, titanium mains. Gauss's kit is built around motion and inertia. Boasting the highest base speed at 1.4 or 1.5 for his prime, Gauss starts fast and only gets faster. Built for high survivability, excellent movement, great crowd control, and decent damage, Gauss is one of the best all-around Warframes in the game. At least in my opinion, he sits at very high A tier, low S tier, until his augment, which firmly puts him at high S tier. Just a quick housekeeping thing here, any numbers I talk about will be based off of the base values, not impacted by any mods. Let's start with his passive. Gauss is a machine, both in a figurative and literal sense. His passive gives him an electrokinetic battery that can be charged by running, which means that you'll get the most from playing him by constantly moving. Unlike Volt's passive, you don't need to be connected to the ground to gain its effect. Gauss's battery powers his abilities, but also his shield. This is check number 1 in the survivability category. The higher the battery, the faster his shield regens. This tops out at 120% faster recharge and 80% faster recharge delay. Get out of here, fast deflection. We'll go over how this passive interacts with other abilities when we get to them. Next up, Mach Rush. One of 2 of Gauss's abilities that have an augment, Mach Rush allows you to run. No, not like the sprinting other characters do. No. You blitz the entire map with this. Seriously, you move at super speeds and annihilate anything and anyone in your way. Remember that one scene in The Boys? You know, the one with A-Train? Yeah, that's you now. Now, you can use this to run in short bursts by tapping. It's good for hitting enemies, but also walls, since you release an up to 10 meter shockwave every time you hit a wall. This does 800 impact damage every time. Or, you can hold the ability, allowing you to hyper sprint for however long you want, so long as you have the energy for it. Activating the ability also boosts that passive battery by 10%, and a further 1% for every poor soul you smash into. How fast you move is dependent on your sprint speed, so boosting that means you can move so fast the entire world blurs around you. Fun fact, using Mach Rush, Gauss can run on water. His augment for this ability is Mach Crash, which gives you an up to 8 meter vacuum that pulls enemies towards you whenever you crash into something solid. And to Gauss, no, people are not solid. On to his 2, Kinetic Plating. Check number 2 in survivability. You want a force field, Tenno? Here you go. This shield absorbs heat, cold, blast, and the 3 physical damages, impact, slash, and puncture. Translation, when you have this active, you absorb up to 90% of all of these damage types. Pretty slick, right? Also makes you immune to those relative status effects. No more knockdown. What's also great is while this is active, the shockwave from your Mach Rush now also has slash status. Now, having this active drains your passive battery by 1% per second, and 0.1% per hit that it shields you from, regardless of how much damage that hit does. Since you gain 0.66% per meter moved, just keep running and you'll be good. It's kind of his theme if you hadn't noticed. Oh, and just before we move on here, each hit you take restores up to 5% energy, so built-in energy economy. Racing on over to number 3, the second of his abilities to have an augment, Thermal Sunder. This is the one that acts as crowd control and damage. It comes in 2 parts, cold and heat. In cold mode, you tap the ability and absorb all the heat in the area, creating a 12 meter circle of cold, guaranteeing cold status to all enemies in range, and up to 750 cold damage. It also charges the battery by 10% per cast. If an enemy already had a cold stack, they instantly receive 9 more and become frozen solid. Heat, on the other hand, happens when you hold the ability. You blast out 10% battery in the form of a 12 meter circle of heat damage, dealing up to 1500 damage. This gives enemies a small chance to be staggered, and if they already had a heat status, the damage from Thermal Sunder is applied on top, allowing you to stack more procs. Next, casting both in the same area will create an area of blast damage, guaranteeing blast status effects and adding those damages together, as well as ragdolling enemies in the area. If you cast cold, then heat, it'll blast enemies away from you, and casting heat, then cold will pull them towards you. In short, this one ability allows you to stagger enemies, freeze them, and toss them about, all while dealing massive amounts of area damage. And if you run through your circles with Mach Rush, you'll actually pull all that damage with you, affecting enemies you hit, and adding the sasses to your impact shockwave. Gauss's kit has some of the best synergy in the game, in my opinion. Keep in mind though, his areas do shrink over time, over the course of their duration, at base shrinking to 6 meters. Gauss can have a hard maximum of 4 areas of each element, or a total of 8 areas. Recasting this after the max will simply remove the oldest one. Finally, his augment for this, Thermal Transfer. This is the augment that takes Gauss from a low S tier to an absolute unit at double S tier. You cast your circles, and everyone who runs through them, including you, gains 75% of that damage onto their weapons, which is awesome on its own, but remember that Thermal Sunder has 3 damage types, so you can have 75 cold, 75 heat, or 150 blast for everyone. And that number goes up with ability strength, meaning you become super durable, crowd controlling boss, and a DPS buffer. And we haven't even covered his final ability yet. Speaking of, Gauss's 4, Redline. That machine reference from earlier, it wasn't a joke. Redlining is a term used in mechanics and engineering to refer to a boundary past which safety is affected. Usually this means pushing a machine so far that the parts begin to break down, which in Gauss's case means Super Saiyan mode. Okay Tenno, y'all ready for this? Redline does a lot. Here we go. First, upon activation, you explode out with energy, blasting enemies back. More crowd control. Next, your battery pushes past that redline limit, allowing you to charge to 100% for up to 30 seconds, which increases, again, a lot. Redline will decrease your battery by 2% per second, but the trade-off here is that at 100%, your other abilities just don't drain the battery at all. The increases are dependent on your battery level, but at 100%, they are as follows. Your fire rate, 75% speed increase. Your melee attack, 40% speed increase. Your reload and casting speeds, 50% increase. Next, while in this supersonic state, arcs of electricity will launch off you while you move, dealing 400 damage split between impact and puncture damage, as well as a guaranteed status effect of stagger, damage, and crowd control. When the redline ends, a number of those arcs will just blast off around you based on your battery. Speaking of redline ending, whatever your battery percentage above the redline is left at the end, your battery will return to below that redline. So if you have 20% remaining, your battery will be filled to 20%. Well, this is pretty impressive, right? And don't y'all worry, we're not even done yet. When in redline, Mach Rush costs half as much, and Thermal Sunder gains bonuses as long as your battery is above 80%. Cold automatically just freezes enemies solid, and heat deals extra damage over time, and blast 100% armor strips and then applies its damage. Pretty sweet, right? Oh yeah, almost forgot the best part about redline. Remember back in his second ability, Kinetic Plating, when I said that you can have a 90% reduction to like 6 damage types? Yeah, that doesn't matter anymore, because in redline, you have 100% resistance to blast, cold, heat, slash, impact, and puncture. Complete immunity. Talk about survivability. On top of that, while in redline and having Kinetic Plating active, Gauss gains 100% bonus melee damage and 100% guaranteed status effect on enemies hit. So yeah, a hugely solid Warframe with an incredible kit. So what? How do we use him? I like to mod him for my balance build. Increased ability strength for the damages, increased duration for things to last longer, and increased speed so my battery charges faster. Range, not really super important when you can run everywhere faster than any enemy can even blink. Throw on some extra shields, and you're good to go all the way even into endgame with relative ease. It's hard to kill what you can't catch, Tenno. Thank you guys for watching, and please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if this was helpful, as well as what Warframe you'd like me to do a deep dive on next.